Good afternoon, this is Scheets, and I'm here to show you how to actually build a wreath. Last week on my video, I showed you how to create a template to make a wreath with your Stamparatus. Well, today I'm going to actually show you how to build the wreath. So let's get started. All right. The first thing that you need to do, because I'm going to be using photopolymer stamp sets, is you need to get the pad that comes with your Stamparatus. And I thought I had it out and I didn't. But here is the pad. You need the pad to add a little extra thickness. And also, I like to protect my pad by using a piece of grid paper. Now Stampin' Up! Just came up with a pad of this grid paper. The next thing that I'm going to put down is my template that we made last week, and I have a piece of cardstock measuring 4 by 4. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick out your stamps, and I picked them out from Beautiful Bouquet because you need small images, and they have a lot of really lovely small images in this stamp set. So I picked this one out. It's my largest one, and I usually like to start with the largest one. And I'm placing it on this side. I like to start on this side rather than a point, because you're going to make sure that you have enough room for your stamp if you start on the straight side. You put it upside down in the spot where you feel like you want to stamp it. You bring your plate forward and you pick it up with your plate. Now, you don't really need to have a magnet on there to hold your paper in place, but you want it to hold your template in place, because each time you are going to make sure it's in position. So I'm going to start with Rich Razzleberry ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. If you have Stampin' Spots, they work a lot better than just using a big ink pad. But right now, I'm going to use the ink pad because that's possible also. And then, all right, I started here. Then you're going to just move it to the next point in line. You're going to actually do this 8 times. There's number 2. I'll probably only do it 4 or 5, just so you don't have to watch me do this 8 times with every single stamp set. But you can see how as you move it around from point to point, you're actually making a circular pattern on your cardstock. I think I'm just going to do 5 and stop there. Now the nice thing about using your Stamparatus is, if for example, if I didn't get it all inked, then I could just pull that plate back and put some more ink on there, and then it would be in the same spot. Now I do have a Stampin' Chamois here to clean all that extra ink that got on here. It's not going to get on my card, as you can see, but it might get on my fingers and have me actually smudge on my card. And you put a lot of time into making a wreath. You don't want to have a smudge on there. All right, the next stamp that I want to have is a smaller flower, and I kind of want it to be a little bit lower. So I'm going to move this back to where I first started stamping and put the flower in the spot I want it. Then I'm going to bring my top plate down and pick it up with the top plate. And this one I'm going to do in Cajun Craze. I kind of want fall colors, and I'm just kind of curious what these will look like together. That's about the position I wanted it in. So I will do this 6 times, and you can see how the wreath is starting to form. And see how I don't really need a magnet. I'm just making sure it's in position. The paper is in position each time that I'm getting ready to stamp, and I'm just moving it one more space. I'll do one more. Okay, all right. Now I think I'm going to put some green. And so I'm going to get this cleared off and show you another really cool thing about the Stamparatus and your wreath building. Now if I wanted to make several cards the same, I've got these little stamps in position and I don't need to change them. But I do want to add a different one, so I can hold this 90 degrees in the air, flip it out, turn it around, and I can get my next stamp in place. This time I want to use a long leaf. And I'm going to go back to the beginning. And I want it in between the two flowers. And I really don't care if I get the full leaf or not. Alright, so I'm going to pull this plate over, pick up the leaf, and now you'll be able to see why I have my plastic in place. This time I'm going to use garden green. And I think I'm going to need to take this flower off so I can really press the garden green. All right, move it. Ink it. Move it. Ink it. Move it. Can you see how easy this is, and how a wreath is developing just by adding a stamp set whenever you want to? Now the next thing I think I want is something very small, and so I'm going to probably put it on this plate. So I'll pull that up 90 degrees, flip it over, and I think I want it up here, maybe on this side of the flower. So I'm going to go back to where I started, put it next to the flower right there, and I'm going to use crushed curry. So I'm going to bring this down, and now see I have two on here, two stamps on the plate. Going to ink it up, stamp, move it, stamp, and you can see then how I could put another little green leaf in here. I could do whatever I wanted, but I would end up with a wreath by using this very simple template. I want to show you a couple of cards that I have made. I made this card using Rooted in Nature, and I just used two different stamps, and I think that turned out pretty good. I liked the colors. I made this card using Falling for Leaves. I had to remember the name of the set, and I used three different colors. It doesn't matter the order in which you stamp them, because your end result will look the same. I could have started with this, I could have started with this, I could have started with this, but the end result would be the same. Then I got very adventuresome, and I wondered what it would look like to have a deer in a wreath. And to me it looks like the deer are gathered and they're drinking at the stream. But I thought that turned out pretty cute. And then the last one I did was for Halloween, and I've got moon and bats and the word boo. So you can just take whatever you want with the template that I taught you how to make last week and make a very wonderful reef card. So have fun and share some of your creations, and come back next week for something else you can do with your Stamparatus. Happy stamping!